Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm here with my boy Cal. Say what's up, Cal.
Hey, ready to rock.
Hey, today we're going to be talking about this article from Screen Rant where they discuss every upcoming DC movie in 2023 and beyond. So we thought it was a good idea to, let's say, what's going on, give our opinions of what we think is going to happen, and if we think it's going to be a successful item. So starting off, of course, with the movies that have already come through already. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which of course did not do well, kind of flamed out. Flash, which I guess there's mixed reviews. What are your thoughts, Cal? Before I give all my opinions on this, Shazam, what do you think about that?
Uh, did some stuff that I actually liked, but just didn't have enough steam behind it to do what it would have needed to do to be successful.
Shazam or Flash?
Shazam.
Shazam. Flash. What's your take on that?
Flash would have probably been a nice big hit if it had come out 2 or 3 years ago, but now, especially when everybody's in hypercritical mode, no, just not able to do it. I thought very good acting performances from Ezra Miller, Sasha Calle, Michael Keaton. On a lot of levels, just a lot of fun. But I listened to the criticisms the guys have, and they're borderline solipsistic at this point. Where it didn't please me, so it's terrible. And I'm like, okay, that's where we are right now. Okay, got it.
I know. I agree with you there. I'm with you. Justice League War World. What was that? That's the animated.
This, yeah, that's animated. I haven't seen that yet.
Neither have I. And lastly, Blue Beetle, which I did.
Hey, Blue Beetle is like the other side of the coin with the Flash movie, where the Flash movie doesn't get the reviews, and people are like, oh, it's trash. Here, the movie gets good reviews, and the box office still isn't there. So I think they don't know where the ceiling is for these movies right now, but they're definitely finding out the floor at the end. They're definitely finding out the floor because again, a lot of these movies, especially, and that was at the time when they were really pumping out after the Avengers when they realized, oh, we can get like $1 billion off these films. Then it became that. I think that became the benchmark for a successful movie, whether people wanted to uh, be fair about it or not. And now, you've had COVID, you've had COVID primarily, and that's definitely restructured things. I can't even say it did because I think there was some movie theater that did a promotion and they said $4 movies. They said, if you come to the movies, you only got to pay $4 for your ticket. You know how many people showed up? It was something like 9,000 people.
Is that good?
That's great. 9,000 people showed up. They didn't have enough tickets, which
Good.
means people are more than willing to come out. Once they got the discount, they were like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll come out." So that's something right there. It's not that people won't come out to see the films, okay, but you got to compete with. It's no different than those times that you had with VHS when people were like, "Oh, I'll just wait for it to come out on VHS," and yet people who were willing to wait months for it to come out on VHS, because they just didn't want to bother going to the movies. But if you make it appealing, yeah, people would come out. So I look at those right there, and Blue Beetle again, good reviews doesn't make the money. Shazam, poor reviews doesn't make the money. Regardless, it seems whether the reviews are good or not making the money. People are not willing to come out to see these particular films, and they all happen to be DC films as well.
I'm with you on that to a degree, but I'm wondering if they've made the movies because they have the TV shows, now it's changed the dynamic. When people are like, hey, it's gonna come out on TV. You know what I'm trying to say? That they're
Well,
like,
it's always going to come out. I mean, we've had streaming well before COVID. You had okay, you can stream. Sometimes it was direct to streaming or what have you, but nobody wanted to wait to stream Infinity War. Nobody wanted to wait to stream Endgame. You wanted to go to the theater and go see that type of stuff. Marvel shot itself in the foot with the TV shows, and they stopped making it. What did NBC still have that slogan? Must see TV.
yeah,
They stopped making the films where the point people wanted to see it. They were like, nah, between the bad reviews and the ones that I've seen recently, I can wait. I can wait to see this. I still haven't seen Guardians.
yeah, I know.
I still haven't seen Guardians. I don't, and people, I've heard Guardians was a good movie, one of the better ones, and I haven't seen it. I just don't feel that I need to go see this movie. It's not that I don't want to see it. I just don't feel the urge. I'm on a plane. I could have saw Guardians on my flight. No, I watched The Covenant and I watched Big George Foreman. I still haven't seen it. So that's where they're at right now when it comes to these films.
So here's a domestic thing for Blue Beetle, right? Blue Beetle right now has done, I believe this is domestic, 56 million so far. Shazam has done 57 million, and and Blue Beetle had a lower opening to begin with, and had less theaters, and yet still is basically matching what Shazam did before, which is relatively interesting. And I don't know if you see the worldwide, it's actually done. It still has a high percentage in the U.S. Remember, again, typically it's like 30, probably 30, 40% at the most in the US, and the rest are domestic and the rest is international. International, that people don't know it enough, so it's 44, but it's made over $100 million, and that's something that when you have stuff like Shazam Fury of the Gods, they have 133, but you still have some gasoline with our friend Blue Beetle. So yeah, it's not definitely living up to the potential, but the only way these things are going to be like this is if you keep the prices wrong, low, so that you can become profitable. Because Hollywood is a business. The whole thing is they want to make money, right?
Yeah, so do I.
All right, so let's start off with the very first movie coming out 2023. Well, this is actually DC. We're not even focused on Marvels on MCU yet, but the first one's going to be Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So this has been a movie that's been delayed so long, and this is the sequel to the big hit 2018, which I don't understand why they didn't follow up like the next year. Like 2019, just before the year before the pandemic. That stuff should have been in, but the director is a huge dude in horror, and so he could decide when he wants to do stuff. And at the same time, Jason Momoa is a huge, blew up back then. So what's your take on this? You think it's going to be worth it, or something we can pass, or the studio's betting this betting the ranch on this one?
Well, using my superior skills of prognostication, I'm going to say I have no idea. I didn't expect the first movie to do as well as it did. And there's been a whole bunch of time, but time is definitely a factor with these films because I will go to bat any day of the week and say if you had put out The Flash a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, that would have been a much more successful film than what you have right now. And with Aquaman, same thing. That was a film you would think, oh, we got to get the sequel out quickly as possible, and it's going on what was the movie was what 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a bit. It's been a bit. So
It's 4 years ago. You can't even Amber Heard. I have no idea if she's in the film at all. It's just a bunch
she,
of stuff.
she was in the film. She did film her scenes. The question is how much is going to be left over, right? So that's the question there. So, all right, let's move on to the next one for DC. The next one is going to be Joker in 2024. So basically, there's nothing happening between 2023 to 2024. And of course, this is all the reboot of DC based off of the James Gunn takeover. I mean, they've gotten rid of certain movies, and this is they've gotten rid of Superman, Henry Cavill himself. I mean, who would have thought that? Who would have thunk that? You know, Nobody. But it is what it is. So, what's your take on the Joker? You think that's going to be another hit, or is this going to be like another? It's going to perform a lot less than it did before.
That's all story driven. As long as they've got, I mean, they're doing the right thing in terms of casting, of putting Harley Quinn in the movie. I think Lady Gaga is good casting for it at the end of the day. And as long as they keep along with the same type of strong story that they had with the first one, I don't see why this one wouldn't be successful.
Mhm.
But again, that to get the same numbers that you got on the first one, I think that would be a challenge.
Yeah, I think the first one is just, yeah, definitely a huge challenge. All right, Superman Legacy. Now this is the big to do. This is supposed to be Peter Gunn is writing this. He is going to kickstart the whole DC universe. What's your take on this?
Oh man. Well, put it like this: if Corn Sweet looks like this in the movie, then that movie's gonna bomb. So hopefully, whatever that mock-up picture, if he looks anything like that, forget about it. I'll run away from the movie. You know, I don't know. I don't like who they cast for Lois Lane. Corn Sweat, I think he's fine. He can buff up. He's got the height, what you really want for Superman. I'm not too sure about his acting chops, but this should not be a big stretch to be able to play, somebody heroic and then play somebody who's pretty straight laced if they decide to go that route. I just got to, I got a couple of questions in terms of what direction they're going to go with the Superman films, or at least with this one. Are they going to have Lois Lane find out in the first movie that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person? Because you get guys, oh man, I don't want to see, her not know because it's kind of like she's stupid and this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, okay. So Lois Lane can sort it out, but Jimmy Olsen is an idiot. Perry White is an idiot. Everybody else in the office is an idiot. All the people he grew up with in Smallville, those guys are all idiots. But Lois Lane, Lois Lane, it's like, no, she does. I said, if he can't fool Lois Lane, okay, if he can't pull off the act with Lois Lane, he's not going to fool anybody. Okay, he's not going to fool anyone. And that's something that they have totally forgotten. Instead, in lieu of her looking like a fool, okay, which is, well, we don't want her to look stupid because eventually she's going to be his girlfriend, that type of stuff. Look, come on. Men of the world know this. How many guys are out there playing? Okay, they're out there playing. They're over here, they're putting on the role, and the girl never has any idea what the hell is going on, and she still ends up marrying the dude or being in a relationship with him. Sorry, ladies, you may not want to hear it. Happens all of the time.
We don't want to hear those type of things, bro.
Hey,
yeah,
all I'm saying is that is a crucial part of making this thing work. And you can't run to the end of the marathon. Okay, you're like, I'm going to streak to it at the end of the day. We're going to go 25 miles in 10 seconds. That is something that really does need to be developed. And if you decide to kick that to the curb simply because she's too smart, she want to pull it, so she should be able to sort it out. Well, okay, what about Perry White? Is he a fool? Jimmy Olsen takes pictures all the time. He can't sort it out. Nobody else. This guy works at a newspaper, and the only person who knows is Lois. Come on.
So I guess you have some pretty strong feelings. What do you feel about the new gun universes using this as the kickoff?
No, that's the right thing. That's the right thing to do, because the same thing. If Superman can't pull off Clark Kent in front of Lois Lane, then he's not. The secret identity is worthless. Same thing. If you can't get Superman right, if you're going to say, okay, we're going to do DC universe, we're going to try to make an interconnected universe, and you can't make Superman a hit, then what are you doing? What are you doing at the end of the day? That's the guy. Superman is the reason why all the other heroes in the DC universe are able to exist, because he comes on and they trust him. So now anybody running around in an outfit or something of that nature, they're at least going to be given some time and a pass, because everybody trusts Superman, and the idea is that they're all following in the wake of this guy who people supremely trust in terms of being a hero. So if you can't sell that to people, this is the most recognizable superhero on the planet. If you can't sell that to people, make that a hit, then yeah, you got a problem with your universe.
Yes, I agree with you. All right, let's move on to the next one. The Batman Part 2. This comes out October 2025. I mean, Jesus, look at the distance, So 2025 is shaping up to be a big year for the movies. But basically, the only new one is the Superman, right? The 2024, late 2024, you have the Joker. And so, what is your take on this? Do you think this could be a next huge trilogy?
Depends on the villain. That's it. Depends on the villain. If they do the same things that worked, I mean, I enjoyed the Batman. Detective. That was a detective story. They haven't done a Batman detective story. I've been waiting for that, so I was there. But then, like, my brother saw it, and he was like, "Oh, I can't stand Robert Pattinson. I can't stand him." And he made some good points, all of which I thought were legitimate. But the film was successful despite the disparate positions that either he or I might have had about the film. If you choose a good villain, or a couple of villains without going crazy like they did, where they had the Penguin here, even though the Riddler is the main villain, so you're able to insert them. You got Catwoman, who's technically, well, she's more of like anti-heroine at the end of the day. But if you choose some good villains and actually work them as good villains, not just fodder or window dressing, that type of stuff, and you have a suitable story, behind it, then yeah, this could be quite successful. The only problem is this the Batman of Gunn's universe, or is that going to be another person?
Well, because he wanted to do something. He wanted to do something on his own. So that's a problem. it's a really big problem if you ask me. If we keep having incarnations of characters that this is a successful incarnation, and the director does not want to bring it over into Gunn's world, so he wants to keep it, alone. So I don't know. It's very difficult.
Who's the
Uh,
director?
I forgot the guy's name. I'll look it up and give it back to you. Matt Reeves. That's it. Matt Reeves. He's a director, and so he
Yeah.
wants to.
I know Gunn said he wants to have the flexibility of having a main DC universe in film and then having room for offshoots like the Batman or the Joker. So I'm like, hey, I'm all for that. You should be able to do that at this point. But right now, I'll be honest, if you come out with the second Batman and that's a hit, like that's a good hit, sizable hit, you're going to have a hard time bringing in somebody. Okay, that's the alternative universe Batman. This guy right over here is the main universe Batman. I don't
And
know
that,
if they pulled that off.
yeah, that's the problem with DC. So hey, let's move on to I think the show they're coming out. They're doing an adaptation of The Watchmen. They're doing I think they said an animated Watchmen movie
Yeah,
coming
it's
in.
going to be animated.
I have problems with that. I don't know if Watchmen is I get why people like it, but at the same time, I don't know the popular appeal. If there's enough of a popular appeal to do this.
Oh,
So my
Watchmen?
take, yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough for people who watch the comics and some watch some of the stuff. I don't think it's going to be a huge hit. That's my thing.
Well, it's animated. It's animated, and I think it should probably hit as well as the live action because you can't really do too much. You can't do what was done in the comics anywhere else but the comics. That was a story that was really written to make use of the format of a comic book as opposed to film or animation. You might be able to get more stuff done in terms of the animation
Right.
than you might have done live action, you know, but again, it was designed for a comic book. That's just it. Alan Moore was very specific as to that. So I don't know what they do. I don't know how much they're able to accomplish. And then of course they're going to want to make changes, which probably won't be necessary, but they'll make them anyway. And how long is it going to be? I'm less interested in this than I am in the Crisis on Infinite Earths movie that they're making, which I think stands a better chance of being
The,
quite successful.
the animated version.
Yeah, there's an animated version they're going to make.
See if it comes up here. So
So
next,
long as they don't, as long as they don't punk out, they should be fine.
so Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earth. Here it is. We were just talking about it. Announced alongside the Watchmen, the next BWB DCAU release is the first feature-length adaptation of Justice League's Crisis on Infinite Earth. Wow, it's going to be shown on the. That's pretty interesting, you know. So I think if they can do something, they can definitely. I don't know. The scope of this is so huge. I mean, it's huge, but it could be done. It could be done, right?
Crisis on Infinite Earths is a big movie, but they should have done that a long time ago. They should have done that a long time. It's like Superman when they sold the rights to the Salkins back in the 70s. Warner Brothers was just like giggling. They were like, all right, we'll take your money because they didn't think anybody could really make a Superman movie. They were like, Superman, all the stuff he can do, no. And then after they made the money, they were like, what? They were like, wait a minute, it's a success. No, we got to renegotiate. No, we're gonna renegotiate that contract. Okay, that's how that goes at the end of the day. Same thing. You have to do Crisis because if you do Crisis once and it doesn't work out very well, at the very least, you know what went wrong because they keep doing this stuff over and over again anyway.
Yes.
So look at Death of Superman. They did the first one. Bruce Timm did it. Okay, it was done. Not necessarily the best thing, but it was done. And since then, it's been done live action and again animation. And the last animated one was great, but you have to do the first one.
No, I agree. I agree. I think that also, the whole multiverse thing again coming in. I think there's a lot of exhaustion now. People watching so much multiverse. So I don't know. That could be something that's a strike against it, but we'll see. Moving on to the Authority, the TBA. I don't know. I've never seen anything about the Authority. I have no idea about it. I just don't know who it is. And of course, I think if the price point is cheap, I think it's fine. But if it's an expensive price point, nobody knows, and a lot of people won't even care about the Authority. So, what's your take, Cal?
Oh, I don't know. The Authority. the Authority, had that come out before The Boys on Amazon, that might have been like, oh, whoa, but you already have The Boys, and The Boys are in a very similar vein to The Authority. This, pretty much anti-heroes in the form of the Justice League at the end of the day. The only thing that may be different is that you've got a Superman and Batman analog on the team, and they're gay lovers. So that may be some interest to people. We'll see how much mileage you get out of that.
I don't know how much knowledge you're going to get out of that. So I think that again, it's I don't know. Let's get on to what we were talking about: the Brave and the Bold. So this is the Batman movie that we're talking about. They want to introduce them. Damian Wayne character was very popular. They're looking for this to be announced. They haven't announced when, but it's going to have to probably be 2025, probably 2026, if they don't want to differentiate it from the Mac Reeves Batman. There's a whole bunch of stories they can use right now because Damian very popular. Of course, Batman is highly popular. But
That book is the first appearance of Damian Wayne right now is hot. It's been hot for a while. Okay, to the point I've got a copy, not in the best condition. I'm only asking $60 for it right now. And guys make offers here and there, here and there. And the second there's a casting or anything of that nature, that book is going to jump. Because you know, uh, this right over here, I expect this. I expect this to do. I expect this to do pretty well.
I think so too. Batman's do generally well. All right, let's get down to that. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now, one thing you got to say is that when it has the TBA, it hasn't been announced, right? And we don't know if this actually going to actually become. It
As
will
a
actually.
film or a TV series or something or animation.
I think it's just a regular TV show. No release date has been announced. And they may not have. It doesn't look as though they're going to have the same. Wait, it says Woman of Tomorrow, and it's unclear whether Sasha Cal will be appearing in the character. So it's a completely new one all by itself.
Okay, well, what can I say? I read Superman or Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I thought that was trash, so I don't know what they're gonna do with this.
Yeah, we'll see. Swamp Thing. What is your take on Swamp Thing? Of course, that is an Alan Moore title, and very popular among some of the hardcore comic fan. But can this also translate into a regular series or possibly a movie for us to see? What's your take?
Can it translate into a regular series? Highly unlikely. Swamp Thing has a nice fan base, some really good stories. How far you get past that? The answer I will give to you is, when is the last time you saw a supernatural monster type character that was very, very popular and was successful in film outside of Godzilla?
Never.
There you go. So I know that there's an audience for this. I just don't think it's a very big audience.
Okay. So lastly, here's a bunch of shows that are coming up that have been announced and may or may not come out. We have My Adventures with Superman. That's Adult Swim HBO Max. That's supposed to be ongoing. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I saw the whole season. They've already been season 2 was already greenlit.
Okay, cool. So you have Bat Wheels Cartoon Network ongoing. Harley Quinn season 4 HBO Max. Batman the Cape Crusader is supposed to be coming out the 23rd. Or it came out 23rd. 2023. You have that's Prime Video. I didn't see this, so I'm not sure about that. Superman and Lois season 4. I guess these are all sorry. So these are all existing shows coming here. But you have something like I don't know what Noonan is. That's Harley Quinn spinoff to be, and then you have the Penguin. The Penguin was done in the Matt Reeves movie of Batman, and so they're making his own particular show. I guess looking at the guy. After that, it's Creature Commando. Feel free to stop me if you have anything you want to jump in.
Not for these.
We had that's Penguin 2024. We have Creature Commando in 2024, and we have Waller in 2024. I mean, one thing that I know with the Waller is 4 episodes, and so I guess these are going to be, the prices will be kept under. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of. I'm not even going to go through all the TV seasons. I'm just going to say some names. You have the Doom Patrol, Sandman season 2, Bad Boy Detectives, Sweet Tooth season 3, Untitled Arkham Asylum. So it gets really, really, really crazy as time goes on. you know. So I mean, what's your feeling with the whole DC slate so far? You feel comfortable, or you're like, we're taking another roll of this stuff?
big slate, but they need to go big. But hey, as always with DC, their fate all rests on one film, and that's Superman.
Sure.
You don't get Superman right, and Superman needs to be a hit. Not okay, this is a good start. No, it needs to be a hit where you got people willing to come back and see the film, not Superman viewers, okay, but other people who are willing to come back and see that film again. Because it doesn't work with Batman, it doesn't work with Aquaman. You've already had those guys show success, and it's always a insular success at the end of the day. You need Superman so you can bring in the rest. If you're not doing it, then it's just not going to happen. And again, they've had decades, decades of Batman being the more popular character, in terms of sales and visibility than Superman, and it's never translated into bringing up the other guys around him. Okay, Superman does that. He's got a track record. You need to do that, and you need to nail it with him. You do that, okay, we can see where you can go from there. But that first movie, you cannot. If these guys can hear me, don't do it. Don't go with the social agenda. Don't make Lois Lane bitchy, bossing Superman around. Don't
Okay.
make him a punk, and
Okay.
don't make him just a nice guy from Kansas. We want to explore his humanity. This guy needs to be kick ass at the end of the day. There's this great image of, I think I sent it, I wrote this answer on this website, and it got all of these views and all of these likes. It got 26,000 views. Why? Because it showed Superman being assertive. He went over to Metallo and he says, okay, now I'm going to teach you some manners. That's what the people have yet to see in a Superman movie, where he's like, all right, you want to talk smack? All right, I'm here now. You're going to catch these hands. That's what you need to show in the Superman movie. You know, he is that type of guy, and they have yet to show it. And then hopefully after that, they can get him off planet.
Yeah. All right. So that's a good rundown. I think we understand what's going on. If you like what we say, please comment, subscribe. Spinner rack
We're out.
out.